Chapter 1: The Shop That Shouldn't Exist. The rain poured endlessly over the city. Ethan Carter tightened his jacket as he locked the doors of the small convenience store where he worked the night shift. Another ordinary day. He sighed. 29 years old, and this is still my life. The streets were almost empty. Neon lights reflected across the wet pavement as Ethan began walking toward the bus stop. A loud horn shattered the silence. Honk. He turned. A speeding truck had lost control. There was no time to react. A blinding light swallowed everything. Silence. Then, a soft breeze brushed against his face. Ethan slowly opened his eyes. Blue sky. White clouds. Birds chirped overhead. I'm alive. He sat up in confusion. Instead of concrete roads, he found himself lying in a field of golden grass. In the distance stood stone walls surrounding a medieval town. Horse-drawn carts rolled along dusty roads. People wore cloaks instead of suits. What is this place? Memories suddenly flooded his mind. A sharp pain exploded inside his head. Images flashed before his eyes. A poor young man. An abandoned shop. Crushing debts. A lonely life. The memories stopped. Ethan breathed heavily. Reincarnated. He looked at his trembling hands. These weren't his original hands. The body belonged to another Ethan, a struggling shopkeeper who had died from exhaustion after failing to pay his debts. So, I'm the new owner now. He stood and followed the unfamiliar memories toward the village. After several minutes, he stopped before a crooked wooden building. A faded sign hung above the entrance. Moonlight General Store. The paint had almost disappeared. Broken windows. Dust-covered shelves. The roof leaked. It looked more like a haunted house than a business. An old woman passing by shook her head. Poor boy, you came back. What happened to this shop? Ethan asked. She hesitated. They say every owner of that store meets an unfortunate end. Most villagers buy elsewhere. With that, she hurried away. Ethan stared at the building. So, I inherited a cursed shop. He pushed open the creaking door. Dust filled the air. The shelves were almost empty. One cracked chair. A broken counter. 3 moldy sacks of flour. Nothing else. This is impossible. Just as despair began to creep in, a mechanical voice echoed in his mind. Open black lens bracket merchant system activated close black lens bracket. Ethan froze. A glowing blue screen appeared before his eyes. Host confirmed. Welcome, merchant candidate. Starter mission received. Mission: reopen the Moonlight General Store. Objective: make your first sale. Reward: beginner merchant gift pack ×1. Failure: no penalty. Ethan blinked twice. Then, despite the ruined shop around him, a smile slowly appeared on his face. If this world gives me a shop, he rolled up his sleeves, then I'll build the greatest trading empire it has ever seen. Outside, the old wooden sign creaked gently in the wind. The forgotten shop had awakened. End of Chapter 2. The Merchant System. Morning sunlight streamed through the cracked windows of the Moonlight General Store. Dust floated lazily through the air. Ethan stood behind the old counter, staring at the glowing blue screen that only he could see. Open black lens bracket merchant system close black lens bracket. Level: 1 apprentice merchant. Shop reputation: unknown. Funds: 10 copper coins. Inventory: empty. Current mission: make your first sale. Reward: beginner merchant gift pack ×1. So it's real, Ethan whispered. He reached toward the floating screen. As his fingers touched it, another menu appeared. Open black lens bracket basic trade close black lens bracket. A list of items filled the screen. Fresh bread. Soap. Candle. Salt. Sugar. Flour. Wooden bowl. Sewing needle. Rope. Each item had a small price beside it. They're all ordinary things. Then Ethan remembered the shelves. They were completely empty. If I can buy these items, I can actually reopen this place. He selected a loaf of bread. Purchase. Cost. 2 copper coins. Yes. A flash of light appeared. A warm loaf of bread landed on the counter. Ethan picked it up. It smelled fresh, as if it had just come out of an oven. He laughed. This system is incredible. Using the rest of his coins carefully, he bought a few bars of soap, candles, and small bags of salt. Within an hour, the empty shelves finally looked like those of a real shop. Not full, but alive. Outside, villagers walked past without even looking inside. The shop's bad reputation hadn't disappeared overnight. Hours passed. No customers. Ethan sighed. I guess rebuilding trust will take time. Just then, the bell above the door rang. Ding! A little girl peeked inside. She couldn't have been older than 8. Her clothes were patched in several places, and she nervously clutched a single copper coin. Excuse me. Ethan smiled warmly. Welcome. The little girl looked around in amazement. You actually have bread? I do. My grandmother is sick. Can I buy half a loaf? Ethan looked at the warm bread. Then at the frightened little girl. He shook his head. No. Her shoulders dropped. I understand. Instead, Ethan picked up the entire loaf and handed it to her. You can have the whole thing. Her eyes widened. But I only have 1 copper coin. Then 1 copper coin is enough. Tears formed in her eyes. Thank you, mister. She hugged the bread tightly and ran home as fast as she could. The shop became quiet once again. A moment later. Ding! Mission complete. First sale achieved. Reward received. Beginner merchant gift pack ×1. Ethan grinned. So this is just the beginning. He opened the gift pack. Golden light burst from the screen. Congratulations. You have obtained Merchant's Eye LV.1. 100 copper coins. Basic inventory expansion. Skill unlocked. Price appraisal. Before Ethan could celebrate, another notification appeared. New main mission. Earn 1 gold coin through honest trade. Reward. Shop upgrade blueprint. Ethan looked at the tiny wooden shop around him. Then at the growing list of missions. A spark of determination lit up in his eyes. 1 customer became the first step. He smiled confidently. And one day, this tiny shop will become an empire. End of Chapter 3. The first reputation. The blue screen slowly faded. Ethan took a deep breath. So, I've got 100 copper coins. He smiled. That means I finally have enough money to stock the shelves properly. He immediately opened the merchant system. Open black lens bracket funds, 108 copper coins closed black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket Merchant's Eye LV.1 closed black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket price appraisal, active closed black lens bracket. A new section had appeared. Open black lens bracket wholesale bundle closed black lens bracket. Daily essentials pack 30 copper. Farmer's tool pack 45 copper. Traveler's supplies 50 copper. Kitchen starter pack 35 copper. So there are bundles now. Without hesitation, Ethan bought the daily essentials pack. Blue light filled the shop. Boxes appeared one after another. Soap. Candles. Salt. Sugar. Flour. Cooking oil. Wooden bowls. Needles. Thread. Simple towels. The once empty shelves finally looked like those of a real general store. Ethan couldn't help but smile. Now this feels like a proper shop. Outside, the little girl from yesterday ran through the village with her grandmother. Grandma, this is the shop. The old woman looked at the freshly cleaned storefront in surprise. I thought this place was abandoned. The bell above the door rang. Ding. Ethan looked up. Welcome. The little girl beamed. Mister, Grandma wanted to thank you. The elderly woman bowed respectfully. My granddaughter told me what happened yesterday. You gave us food when we had almost nothing. Ethan smiled. I'm just happy I could help. The old woman glanced around the store. These prices. They're cheaper than the market. At that moment, Ethan noticed glowing blue text above her head. Open black lens bracket merchant's eye close black lens bracket. Name, Martha. Occupation, herbal gatherer. Trust, 18%. Needs, salt, flour, soap. So this is merchant's eye. It showed exactly what customers were looking for. Martha bought salt, flour, and a bar of soap. As she paid, 2 nearby villagers peeked inside. Is the cursed shop open again? I heard the new owner sells good bread. Curiosity overcame fear. One after another, villagers stepped inside. Some bought candles. Others bought sugar. A farmer purchased rope and needles. For the first time in years, coins clinked across the old wooden counter. By sunset, Ethan leaned back in his chair. The shelves were half empty. A pile of copper coins sat neatly inside the cash box. He opened the system. Open black lens bracket today's sales close black lens bracket. Customers, 12. Revenue, 46 copper coins. Profit, 18 copper coins. Shop reputation, unknown right pointing arrow friendly local shop. A soft chime echoed. Congratulations. Your shop has reached reputation rank, friendly local shop. New feature unlocked, customer requests. A board of glowing papers appeared. Customer request number 1. Need, 5 blankets before winter. Reward, 20 copper coins plus reputation. Customer request number 2. Need, iron cooking pot. Reward, 15 copper coins. Ethan's eyes lit up. So customers can place orders now. Just then, someone blocked the doorway. A tall man wearing expensive clothes stepped inside. His sharp eyes swept across every shelf. So, I finally found the man everyone in the village is talking about. Ethan looked up calmly. And who might you be? The stranger smiled, but there was no warmth in it. I'm Victor, the owner of the largest shop in this region. His smile widened. And I don't like competition. End of Chapter 3. Chapter 4, A Merchant's Challenge. The shop fell silent. Victor slowly walked between the shelves, picking up a bar of soap before placing it back down. So, you are the new owner of this place? Ethan nodded. That's right. Victor chuckled. I've been running the largest general store in this region for 15 years. He looked Ethan in the eyes. And in just one day, you've stolen some of my customers. Ethan remained calm. I didn't steal anyone. They chose where they wanted to shop. Victor's smile faded. You've got courage. He placed a small silver coin on the counter. I'll buy every item in your shop. Ethan frowned. Every item. That's right. I'll empty your shelves today. For double the price. For a moment, Ethan was tempted. Selling everything at once would earn him a fortune. But then the merchant system flashed. Open black lens bracket warning close black lens bracket. A merchant who creates artificial shortages will lose customer trust. Recommendation, decline the offer. Ethan smiled politely. I'm sorry. I can't do that. Victor raised an eyebrow. You refuse. My shop exists to serve everyone in the village. If I sell everything to one person, no one else will have what they need. For the first time, Victor's expression turned cold. So you've chosen your side. He picked up the silver coin and slipped it back into his pocket. Business isn't as easy as you think. With those words, he turned and left. The bell above the door rang softly. Ding. That evening, Martha entered the shop carrying a woven basket filled with fresh herbs. I heard what happened. Ethan looked surprised. The whole village already knows. She laughed gently. News travels fast in a small village. She placed the basket on the counter. These herbs are my way of saying thank you. Ethan looked at the fragrant green leaves. The system activated. Open black lens bracket price appraisal close black lens bracket. Greenleaf herb. Quality, excellent. Market value, 3 copper per bundle. Recommended purchase price, 2 copper. Ethan smiled. Martha, I'd like to buy these. Her eyes widened. Buy them? Yes. I can sell useful goods. Maybe I can sell useful herbs too. A smile spread across Martha's face. This is the first time anyone has offered to buy directly from me. They agreed on a fair price. As she left, Ethan looked at the basket of herbs. So this is how it starts. Not just selling, but buying from local people as well. The merchant system chimed. New feature unlocked, local supply network. Current suppliers, 1. Bonus effect, local goods sell for 10% higher profit. Ethan couldn't hide his excitement. This shop isn't just becoming bigger. It's becoming part of the village. Outside, hidden in the darkness across the street, Victor watched the shop with narrowed eyes. So, you're building connections now. He turned to the man standing beside him. Tomorrow, spread the rumor that the cursed shop sells fake goods. If customers won't leave on their own, we'll make them afraid. The man nodded silently. The night grew darker. Unaware of the scheme being prepared against him, Ethan continued organizing the shelves, ready for another day of honest business. Chapter 4. Rumors and Trust. The next morning, Ethan opened the shop before sunrise. The cool breeze carried the scent of fresh herbs from Martha's basket. He carefully arranged them on a small wooden shelf near the entrance. A simple handwritten sign hung above them. Fresh green leaf herbs, locally grown. The bell above the door remained silent. Minutes turned into an hour. Ethan frowned. That's strange. Normally, a few villagers would have stopped by now. Just then, he heard whispers outside. I heard the new shop sells fake goods. My cousin said the soap made someone's hands itch. They say the bread isn't even fresh. Ethan stepped to the doorway. The villagers quickly looked away and continued walking. So the rumors have already started. At that moment, the merchant system appeared. Open black lens bracket, new event, close black lens bracket. Merchant crisis. Someone is spreading false rumors about your shop. Objective: restore customer trust. Reward: reputation increase plus customer loyalty feature. Ethan sighed. So this is another test. Around noon, Martha entered the shop. She looked worried. I've heard what people are saying. Ethan smiled calmly. It's all right. The truth will speak for itself. A young farmer cautiously walked inside. I only need some salt. Ethan handed him a bag. Take a look before you buy. The farmer inspected it carefully. It's cleaner than the salt sold at Victor's store. He paid and left. A few minutes later, he returned, with 3 neighbors. This shop's goods are genuine. Word began spreading through the village. 1 customer became 4. 4 became 10. Soon, the shop was lively once again. The rumors were losing their power. That afternoon, a middle-aged hunter entered carrying a damaged leather backpack. I heard you buy local products. I've got something to sell. He placed 3 rabbit pelts on the counter. The merchant system activated. Open black lens bracket, price appraisal, close black lens bracket. Rabbit pelts. Quality: good. Market value: 5 copper each. Recommended purchase price: 4 copper each. Ethan smiled. I'll buy all 3. The hunter's face lit up. Really? Victor always offers only 2 copper. Ethan counted out 12 copper coins. A fair price for honest work. The hunter accepted with a grateful smile. I'll bring more next week. As he left, another notification appeared. Supplier added. Name: Rowan. Occupation: hunter. Current suppliers: 2. Supply bonus increased. By evening, the cash box was fuller than ever. The merchant system chimed. Congratulations. Merchant crisis cleared. Reputation increased. Current reputation: trusted village shop. New feature unlocked: customer loyalty. Customers with high trust are more likely to return and recommend your shop. Ethan smiled with satisfaction. Trust can't be bought. It has to be earned. Across the village, Victor slammed his fist onto his desk. The rumors failed. His assistant lowered his head. Not only that. People are saying the new shop pays fair prices to local suppliers. Victor's expression darkened. So he's changing the rules of business. He stared toward the Moonlight General Store through the window. Then I'll remind him. This world doesn't reward kindness for long. A cold smile spread across his face. I'll crush him before he becomes a real threat. End of Chapter 5. Chapter 6. The Traveling Merchant. Morning sunlight entered through the repaired windows of the Moonlight General Store. The shop was no longer silent. Villagers moved between the shelves, examining soap, flour, candles and other household necessities. A farmer compared 2 coils of rope while an elderly woman carefully counted copper coins beside the counter. Only a few days earlier, most people had been afraid to step inside the building. Now they greeted Ethan by name. Good morning, Ethan. Do you still have salt? My daughter liked that soap. Please keep another piece for us. Ethan answered every customer patiently. The salt is on the second shelf. I'll put the soap aside for you. Please check the rope before buying it. That one is stronger, but the smaller one should be enough for a chicken fence. The customers appreciated that he did not always recommend the most expensive product. Every honest answer strengthened their trust. After the rumors spread by Victor had failed, the Moonlight General Store's reputation had risen to trusted village shop. However, Ethan understood that trust was not permanent. It had to be protected every day. As the final morning customer left, a blue screen appeared before his eyes. Daily quest. Sell goods worth 50 copper coins before sunset. Reward. Merchant experience. Mysterious item voucher, 1. Ethan read the mission twice. 50 copper in one day. The store had become busier, but 50 copper was still a significant amount for Greenhollow Village. Most customers purchased only what they needed. A loaf of bread, a candle, a small bag of salt or a piece of soap. Ethan refused to pressure villagers into buying unnecessary products merely to complete a system mission. He looked toward the shelves. If I complete it through honest sales, good. If I don't, then I don't. The blue screen remained silent. Ethan smiled slightly. Apparently, the merchant system had no objection. He began reorganizing the counter. The local supply network had already changed the appearance of the shop. Bundles of Martha's greenleaf herbs occupied a clean wooden basket near the front. Rowan's rabbit pelts hung from a reinforced beam, protected from dust and moisture. The products were simple, but they represented something important. The Moonlight General Store was no longer selling only goods obtained through the system. It was becoming a place where Greenhollow's people could sell their work for a fair price. Martha entered shortly before midday. Her long silver hair was tied in its usual loose bun, and her dark green shawl rested over her shoulders. Lily followed beside her, carrying a small basket with both hands. Good morning, Mr. Ethan, Lily said brightly. Good morning, Lily. She lifted the basket proudly. Grandmother brought more herbs. Martha placed several fresh bundles on the counter. The weather was kind this morning. I found these near the eastern hill. Ethan activated price appraisal. Greenleaf herb. Quality, excellent. Market value, 3 copper coins per bundle. Recommended purchase price, 2 copper coins per bundle. The quality remained as good as the first delivery. Ethan inspected the leaves carefully before weighing them. These are excellent again. Martha smiled. I wouldn't bring poor herbs to your shop. I know, but every delivery should still be checked. That sounds like something a real merchant would say. Ethan counted the bundles and paid Martha the fair supplier price. She accepted the coins but looked around the shop instead of immediately leaving. You have more customers now. More than before. And Victor's rumors. Most people stopped believing them after seeing the products for themselves. Martha's expression became thoughtful. Victor does not like losing. I noticed. He has controlled trade around this region for many years. Farmers, hunters and travelers all know his name. Ethan placed the herbs in the display basket. Then I'll have to make sure they also know mine. Martha studied him. There was no arrogance in his voice. Only determination. Lily approached the counter and looked at the displayed goods. Can I help? You can place these smaller herb bundles in the basket, Ethan said. Her eyes lit up. I can do that. While Lily worked, Ethan updated the supplier record in his system interface. Local supply network. Supplier, Martha. Product, greenleaf herb. Trust, high. Supply status, stable. A soft chime sounded. The shop door opened again. At first, Ethan expected another villager. Then he heard horses outside. Not one horse. Two. Heavy wooden wheels rolled across the road and stopped directly in front of the Moonlight General Store. The conversation inside the shop fell silent. Ethan stepped toward the window. A large merchant wagon stood outside. It was built from dark, weathered wood and reinforced with iron bands. Thick canvas covered the cargo area. Ropes, travel equipment and small wooden boxes were secured along both sides. Two strong brown horses waited at the front, their coats covered with a thin layer of road dust. A man climbed down from the driver's seat. He appeared to be around 45 years old. He was tall and sturdy, with sun-tanned skin and the posture of someone accustomed to long journeys. A thick brown beard, streaked with gray, covered his jaw. His medium brown hair was tied loosely behind his head. He wore a long brown travel coat, a wide leather belt and heavy dusty boots. A full coin pouch hung at one side of his waist, while a sword rested at the other. The sword made several villagers nervous. However, the man's warm hazel eyes and relaxed expression did not resemble those of a bandit. He examined the old sign above the entrance. Moonlight General Store, he read aloud. Then he pushed open the door. The bell above it rang. The stranger looked around the shop. His eyes moved from the system goods to Martha's herbs and Rowan spells. He seemed to notice everything. You are the owner? He asked. I am, Ethan replied. The man looked him up and down. You seem young for someone who reopened a cursed shop. Martha frowned. The shop isn't cursed. The stranger raised both hands. No offense intended. I only repeated what I heard on the road. Ethan stepped forward. I'm Ethan Carter. Welcome to the Moonlight General Store. The man smiled. Gareth, traveling merchant. They shook hands. Gareth's grip was strong, but he did not try to intimidate Ethan. Merchant's eye activated. Name, Gareth. Occupation, traveling merchant. Trust, neutral. Immediate commercial needs. Travel supplies. Salt. Cleaning goods. Locally sourced herbs. Ethan glanced toward the wagon. You've been traveling for some time. 6 days since my last proper rest. You may want soap, salt and something useful for treating minor injuries. Gareth's eyebrows rose. Good guess. Your coat is covered in road dust, your supply boxes are nearly empty, and you looked at the herb basket before anything else. Gareth laughed. Observation instead of magic. That's becoming rare. He walked toward the shelves and picked up a bar of soap. This is unusually clean. It lasts well if you keep it dry. What's your price? Ethan told him. Gareth turned the soap over in his hand. You could charge more to travelers. I could. But you don't. A fair price is more likely to bring you back. Gareth's smile became wider. Now that is a merchant's answer. He selected several pieces of soap. Next, he examined the salt. The grains were clean and evenly packed. Where did you get this? From one of my suppliers. It was not a complete answer, but it was not a lie. Gareth did not press him. Experienced merchants protected their supplier information. He gathered several bags of salt and placed them on the counter. Then he approached the greenleaf herbs. Martha stood a little straighter. Those were gathered this morning, she said. Gareth picked up one bundle and smelled the leaves. Fresh. They grow on the eastern hill, Martha explained. They help with fever, swelling and small wounds when prepared properly. Gareth looked toward Ethan. You purchase directly from local gatherers. Yes. What did you pay? Ethan did not reveal Martha's exact supplier price. I paid within the recommended local range for excellent quality herbs. Gareth glanced at Martha. And were you satisfied? I was, she answered firmly. That seemed to matter more to him than Ethan's words. Gareth selected several herb bundles. I've seen merchants pay gatherers almost nothing and sell the same herbs for 5 times the price in town. I need profit, Ethan said, but so does the supplier. Gareth placed the herbs beside the soap and salt. If your suppliers cannot survive, eventually you will have nothing to sell. Exactly. For the first time since entering, Gareth's expression became completely serious. You really are different. Ethan began calculating the purchase. Gareth watched him closely. He was likely checking whether the young shopkeeper would suddenly raise prices after seeing his large wagon and heavy coin pouch. Ethan used the same prices he charged everyone else. He added a reasonable bulk reduction because Gareth had purchased multiple items. Gareth inspected the total. You included a discount. You bought enough to reduce my handling cost. And the herbs. The discount came from my own margin. Martha's supplier payment remains unchanged. Martha looked at Ethan with quiet approval. Gareth placed the required coins on the counter. The amount was far larger than an ordinary village sale. A bright notification appeared before Ethan. Daily quest completed. Goods worth at least 50 copper coins sold before sunset. Reward received. Merchant experience. Mysterious item voucher, 1. Ethan kept his expression calm. The reward entered his system inventory. A small silver voucher appeared in a separate slot, covered with unfamiliar symbols. He wanted to examine it immediately, but opening a mysterious system reward in front of a professional merchant would be foolish. He closed the notification. Would you like help carrying the goods? Ethan asked. I can manage, but I won't refuse free labor. Ethan carried one box while Gareth lifted another. Together they walked outside. Several villagers gathered near the wagon. Children stared at the horses. Farmers studied the reinforced wheels and canvas-covered cargo. Traveling merchants did not often stop in Greenhollow. Gareth secured the purchased goods inside a storage compartment. This wagon has traveled through Riverside, Stonegate and half the Western Road, he said. It has survived broken bridges, monster attacks and 3 terrible cooks. Were the cooks part of your caravan? Unfortunately. Ethan laughed. Gareth closed the compartment. His eyes moved toward the far end of the village road. The humor faded from his face. I passed another merchant's men yesterday. Victor's. So you already know him. He visited my shop. That sounds polite. He offered to buy all my stock for double its value. Gareth looked at him sharply. What did you say? No. Good. He wanted to create a shortage. I assumed as much. Gareth leaned against the wagon. Victor has controlled much of the regional trade for years. He buys from desperate suppliers at low prices, then sells to isolated villages at whatever price they can bear. I've heard. He also remembers every merchant who refuses him. So I've discovered. Gareth folded his arms. His rumors failed. That will make him more dangerous, not less. Ethan looked toward the Moonlight General Store. I won't close the shop because he dislikes competition. I didn't tell you to close it. Then what are you telling me? To stop thinking of him as an angry shopkeeper. Gareth's voice was calm but firm. Victor has money, wagons, suppliers and friends in places where a village merchant has no influence. He can delay deliveries. He can pressure craftsmen. He can persuade guards to inspect one wagon for hours while another passes untouched. Ethan remained silent. On Earth, powerful companies had used similar methods. They did not always destroy competitors by offering better products. Sometimes they controlled access, distribution and information. What should I do? Ethan asked. Build connections before you need them. With whom? Suppliers, caravan leaders, guild officials, independent merchants, people whose word has value. Gareth opened a small leather pouch attached to his belt. He removed a bronze token. A merchant wagon had been engraved on one side. The other side carried a small mark resembling two crossed roads. He offered it to Ethan. "This is mine." Ethan did not immediately take it. "What does it mean?" "It tells the merchant guild and the caravans who recognize my mark that I consider you trustworthy." "That sounds valuable." "It is." "Then why give it to someone you met today?" Gareth looked through the open shop door. Martha was speaking with Lily beside the herb display. Two villagers were examining the salt Gareth had not purchased. Rowan's pelts remained carefully arranged near the wall. "You could have charged me more because I'm a traveler." Gareth looked back at Ethan. "You didn't. You could have hidden where the herbs came from and claimed them as your own special product." "You didn't. You could have reduced the old woman's payment to protect your bulk profit." "You didn't." He placed the token in Ethan's hand. A merchant reveals his character when a profitable customer enters the room. Ethan studied the bronze token. It was warm from Gareth's hand. "I haven't done anything special." "That belief may be the most special thing about you." A golden system light flashed across Ethan's vision. Hidden achievement unlocked. First merchant connection. You have earned the recognition of an experienced traveling merchant through honest trade. Rewards. Merchant Guild access unlocked. Trade network unlocked. The familiar blue interface expanded. Lines of golden light spread across a dark map. One glowing point appeared at the Moonlight General Store. Another shone to the east. Riverside Town. Several smaller lights appeared along the road and near distant settlements. Trade Network, Level 1. Current Center. Moonlight General Store. Known professional connection. Gareth, traveling merchant. Available network information. Nearby settlements. Major roads. Recognized merchant locations. Potential trade connections. Ethan stared at the map. Until now, his world had consisted of the shop and Greenhollow Village. The glowing points changed everything. Each light represented customers, suppliers and opportunities. One village might need medicine. Another might produce wool. A town might have tools that Greenhollow could not make. Trade was not simply the movement of goods. It was the connection of needs. "Something wrong?" Gareth asked. Ethan closed the interface. "No, I was thinking about your advice." "Good advice is rare. You should treasure it." "Is modesty also rare among traveling merchants?" "Extremely." Gareth climbed onto the wagon seat. The two brown horses shifted beneath their harnesses. "Take the token to the Merchant Guild in Riverside." "What will happen there?" "They'll confirm your identity and explain the registration process." "I haven't registered as a merchant yet." "I guessed." "Was it that obvious?" "You are operating from an old village shop without a guild plaque, verified trade book or caravan stamp." Gareth grinned. "But don't worry, you already understand customers better than many registered merchants." Ethan looked again at the bronze token. "How far is Riverside?" "Approximately half a day on foot. Less by wagon." Gareth gathered the reins. "Tell the receptionist Gareth sent you. The token should prevent them from throwing you out before you speak." "That is very comforting." "It should be. Without the token, they might throw you out immediately." The wagon began moving. Gareth lifted one hand in farewell. "I'll return when I travel this road again. The shop will be open. Make sure it still belongs to you when I return." Ethan's expression became serious. "It will." The wagon rolled away from the Moonlight General Store. The villagers watched until it disappeared beyond the old stone wall. Ethan returned inside. Lily hurried toward him. Was he an important merchant? "I think so." "Will he come back?" "He said he would." Martha looked at the bronze token in Ethan's hand. "I have seen marks like that before." "Where?" "Traveling merchants sometimes carried them when I was younger. People trusted certain wagons because of the name behind the mark." Ethan placed the token carefully on the counter. For the first time, the Moonlight General Store had made a connection beyond Greenhollow. The daily quest had been completed. A mysterious voucher waited unopened in his inventory. Merchant Guild access was now available. And a network of glowing settlements had appeared before him. Ethan reopened the trade network. The golden point representing Riverside Town pulsed gently. A new message appeared. New main opportunity detected. Visit the Merchant Guild in Riverside Town. Register as an official merchant. Unlock larger contracts and regional trade access. Ethan gazed at the glowing roads spreading away from Greenhollow. His tiny shop was no longer an isolated building at the edge of a poor village. It had taken its first step into a much larger world. And somewhere along those roads were the connections he would need to build his trading empire. Chapter 7: The Merchant Guild. The bronze wagon token rested on the counter of the Moonlight General Store. Morning light passed through the repaired windows and reflected across its engraved surface. Ethan stood behind the counter, studying the symbol of a wagon crossing two roads. Gareth had called it proof of trust. The merchant system had called it Ethan's first professional connection. To Ethan, it represented something even greater. A road beyond Greenhollow. A translucent blue map floated before him. The Moonlight General Store appeared as a glowing point at the western edge of the trade network. A brighter point pulsed to the east. Riverside Town. New main opportunity. Visit the Merchant Guild in Riverside Town. Register as an official merchant. Potential rewards. Trade license. Regional contract access. Bulk trading. Guild contracts. The journey would take approximately half a day on foot. Ethan closed the interface. He looked around the shop. The shelves were no longer empty. Soap, candles, flour, salt, rope and wooden bowls had been arranged neatly. Greenleaf herbs filled a woven basket near the front. Rowan's rabbit pelts hung along the side wall. The Moonlight General Store had finally begun to feel alive. Leaving it, even for a single day, made Ethan uneasy. He had customers who depended on him. He also had a rival who had already spread false rumors and attempted to create an artificial shortage. Victor might use Ethan's absence as another opportunity. The bell above the entrance rang. Martha entered with Lily beside her. Martha carried her usual herb basket. Her long silver hair was tied in a loose bun, and her dark green shawl rested across her shoulders. Lily hurried toward the counter. "Good morning, Mr. Ethan." "Good morning, Lily." Her emerald green eyes moved immediately toward the bronze token. "Is that from the traveling merchant?" "Yes." "Is it valuable?" "I think its meaning is more valuable than the metal." Lily leaned closer without touching it. "It has a wagon. Gareth gave it to me so I could visit the Merchant Guild." Martha stopped beside the counter. "The guild in Riverside." Ethan nodded. "I need to register as an official merchant." "When will you go?" "Today, if possible." Martha looked around the shop. "You should." Ethan had expected questions. Instead, her answer was immediate. "You don't think I should wait?" "For what?" "Until the shop is more stable." Martha placed her basket on the counter. A shop becomes stable by building strong foundations. If the guild can help you trade legally and find better connections, delaying the journey will not protect this place. Ethan glanced toward the shelves. "I don't like leaving it unattended. I can watch the building." He looked at her. "You already have work." "I finished gathering early this morning. I can sit here for a day." "I don't want you managing sales without me." Martha gave him an amused look. "I was buying and selling herbs before you were born." Ethan almost explained that, technically, he was from another world and had lived 29 years before entering this body. He wisely remained silent. Martha continued. "I will not touch your stock or coins. If customers arrive, I will tell them the shop is temporarily closed and that you will return tomorrow." Lily raised her hand enthusiastically. "I can help watch it too." "You have lessons," Martha reminded her. Lily slowly lowered her hand. "I can help after lessons." Ethan looked from Martha to Lily. He had spent years working alone during late night shifts on Earth. Whenever something went wrong, there had rarely been anyone nearby who genuinely wanted to help. The feeling was still unfamiliar. "Thank you," he said. Martha smiled gently. That is what neighbors are for. Ethan took a small wooden board from beneath the counter. He carefully wrote a message using the local Ethan's memories of the language. Moonlight General Store. Temporarily closed. Owner visiting the Riverside Merchant Guild. Open again tomorrow. He hung the board on the front door. The sight of the word closed made him uncomfortable. However, a single day of lost sales could create opportunities that would support the shop for years. Ethan prepared a small travel bag. He packed bread, water, a clean cloth and a few basic supplies. He placed Garrett's token securely inside his shirt and checked it twice. The mysterious item voucher remained unopened inside the system inventory. He had been tempted to use it after Garrett left. But a mysterious reward could contain almost anything. Opening it before an important journey, without knowing whether it required space, materials or immediate action, seemed irresponsible. The voucher would wait. Martha watched as Ethan locked the shop's storage room. Be careful on the road, she said. Are monsters common between here and Riverside? Not during daylight, but desperate men can be more dangerous than monsters. That sounds true in every world. Martha tilted her head. Every world. Ethan paused. Every part of the world. She continued watching him for a moment. Then she smiled faintly. Of course. Ethan stepped outside. The morning air was cool, and a light wind moved through the grass beyond Greenhollow's old central wall. Lily followed him to the road. Will Riverside be very big? Garrett said it was a town. Bigger than Greenhollow. Much bigger, probably. Will there be hundreds of shops? I'll count them for you. Lily smiled. You don't really have to count all of them. That is fortunate. She held out a small cloth pouch. Grandmother packed dried berries. Ethan accepted it. Thank you. Come back safely. I will. He looked once more at the Moonlight General Store. Martha stood near the doorway beneath the faded sign. Lily remained beside her, waving. The building still appeared old. Its roof needed repairs. Several wooden boards were discolored, and the painted moon on the sign had almost disappeared. But it no longer looked abandoned. It looked like a place waiting for its future. Ethan turned east and began walking toward Riverside. The road passed through fields surrounding Greenhollow. Farmers worked beneath the morning sun while carts carried vegetables, grain and firewood toward the village. Several people recognized Ethan and greeted him. Going somewhere, shopkeeper. Riverside. For supplies. For the merchant guild. The farmer who had asked gave a low whistle. Moving quickly, aren't you? I hope so. Bring back some cheaper cooking pots if you find them. Ethan remembered the customer request recorded by the system. One iron cooking pot. I'll look. As Greenhollow disappeared behind him, the road widened. The trade network interface remained available in the corner of his vision. When he focused on it, the glowing route toward Riverside appeared over the landscape. The system did not transport him or shorten the journey. It simply showed the known road and nearby trade points. Small markers appeared along the path. A grain farm. A roadside well. A wagon repair shed. A seasonal produce stall. Each point represented a person or business that might become important in the future. Ethan dismissed the interface. He wanted to observe the road with his own eyes. Merchants moved in both directions. Some pushed handcarts filled with vegetables. Others guided donkeys carrying sacks of grain. Large wagons transported barrels, timber and bundles of wool. Ethan noticed how often traffic slowed. One section of the road had become muddy after recent rain. A wagon wheel had sunk into the soft earth, forcing several travelers to help pull it free. The road was not merely a path. It was part of the market. A damaged road increased travel time. Longer travel increased food costs for drivers and animals. Delays could spoil products. Broken wheels required repairs. Every problem eventually became part of a product's final price. On Earth, customers rarely saw the complicated chain that brought an item to a store shelf. Most people noticed only the price tag. Here, Ethan could see every difficult step. A caravan of 3 wagons approached from Riverside. The lead driver raised a hand. "Keep to the side." Ethan moved away from the center of the road. The wagons passed, carrying wooden crates marked with the emblem of a large regional merchant. A dark letter V had been burned into each crate. Victor. Ethan watched until the caravan disappeared toward Greenhollow. Victor's network extended farther than Ethan had realized. The man did not simply own a large shop. He controlled wagons, storage and supplier relationships. Garrett's warning returned to Ethan. "Stop thinking of him as an angry shopkeeper." Ethan resumed walking. "I need connections," he murmured. "Not connections based on bribes or fear. Connections based on mutual benefit." That was the only network Ethan wanted to build. Near midday, the landscape changed. The road descended toward a broad river shining beneath the sun. Boats moved slowly across the water, carrying barrels and cargo. Wooden docks extended from both banks. Beyond the river loom stood Riverside Town. A tall stone wall surrounded the settlement. Guard towers rose above the main gate, and colorful flags moved in the wind. The road led toward a wide bridge crowded with travelers. Ethan stopped briefly. Greenhollow's old defensive wall had made the village seem large when he first arrived in this world. Riverside was different. This was a real trading town. Wagons waited in line before the gate. Farmers carried baskets toward the market district. Riders delivered letters. Craftsmen pushed carts loaded with tools and pottery. Voices mixed with the sounds of wheels, horses and ringing metal. The trade network map flashed. New settlement reached. Riverside Town. Classification. Fortified trading settlement. Primary functions. River crossing. Regional market. Merchant guild branch. Caravan organization. Population and full market information unavailable at current trade network level. Ethan closed the screen. He crossed the bridge with the crowd. Guards inspected large wagons and commercial cargo, but travelers on foot entered through a smaller side passage. One guard looked at Ethan's travel bag. "Business in Riverside. Merchant Guild registration. Do you have a recommendation?" Ethan showed Garrett's bronze token. The guard's expression changed. "You know Garrett. He purchased goods from my shop." The guard examined the wagon symbol. "Keep that secure. His name is respected on the Western Road." He returned the token. "The Merchant Guild is near the Central Market. Follow the bronze wagon signs." "Thank you." Inside the walls, Riverside seemed even larger. Stone and timber buildings stood side by side along busy streets. Shop signs hung above nearly every doorway. A baker displayed rows of bread beside an open window. A blacksmith's hammer rang from a nearby workshop. Cloth merchants called out prices while fishmongers carried fresh catches from the river docks. Ethan smelled roasted meat, hot metal, horses, river water and spices. He understood immediately why Greenhollow's villagers depended on regional merchants. Riverside offered products that a village could never produce alone. Iron tools. Large cooking pots. Woven blankets. Glass bottles. Medicine. Books. At the same time, Riverside depended on the villagers around it for grain, herbs, timber, meat and labor. Neither place could prosper completely by itself. That was the purpose of trade. Ethan passed a textile shop and noticed several wool blankets hanging outside. He remembered the request for 5 blankets before winter. The displayed prices were higher than he expected. He did not stop to examine them yet. Register first. Then study the market properly. Following the bronze wagon signs, Ethan reached a large open square. At its center stood the Riverside Merchant Guild. The building rose 3 stories above the surrounding shops. Its lower level was made from pale stone, while dark polished timber supported the upper floors. Tall windows looked over the square. A large emblem hung above the entrance. A bronze merchant wagon surrounded by golden wheat. Merchants entered and left continuously. Some carried documents. Others argued with clerks near the steps. A caravan leader stood beside a damaged cargo chest while 2 guild officers examined its broken lock. Ethan adjusted his brown linen shirt and walked toward the entrance. He became aware of how ordinary he looked. Most merchants wore clean coats, decorated belts or badges showing their organizations. Ethan had simple clothes, dusty boots and no visible guild mark. Several people glanced at him before looking away. He had been ignored by customers on Earth many times because he was only a night shift worker. He knew the feeling. It did not frighten him. The guild's main doors opened into a vast hall. Long counters divided the room into sections. Signs identified different services. Merchant registration. Contracts. Caravan records. Weights and measures. Currency exchange. Trade disputes. Large boards covered the walls, displaying requests and official notices. Clerks moved quickly between desks while merchants waited in organized lines. Ethan joined the line for registration. A man standing ahead of him carried several ledgers bound in red leather. Behind Ethan, two young merchants quietly discussed grain prices. The southern farms want another copper per sack. Then buy from the west. The western road toll increased. Everything increased. Ethan listened without staring. Prices were never isolated numbers. Every increase had a reason. After several minutes, he reached the counter. A young woman sat behind it. She appeared to be around 22 years old. Her shoulder-length blonde hair framed a neat, professional face, and her bright green eyes moved rapidly over the documents before her. She wore a white blouse beneath a navy guild vest. A bronze guild badge had been pinned over her heart. She finished stamping a form and looked up. "Welcome to the Riverside Merchant Guild. How may I help you?" "I want to register as a merchant." Her expression remained polite. "Do you operate an existing business?" "Yes. The Moonlight General Store in Greenhollow Village." Her pen paused. "Greenhollow. You know it?" "I know of it." She searched through a stack of records. "I don't remember an active licensed shop under that name." "The shop reopened recently." "How recently?" "Several days ago." The receptionist slowly looked back at him. "You opened a shop several days ago, and you are already applying for guild registration." "I received a recommendation." "From whom?" Ethan removed Gareth's bronze token and placed it on the counter. The moment she saw the engraved wagon, her professional expression changed. She picked up the token carefully. "This belongs to Gareth. He gave it to me." "You are certain he gave it to you willingly?" "He placed it in my hand." She turned the token over. The crossed road mark on the back caught the light. "This is his personal trademark. Gareth does not distribute these casually." "So I've been told." "What did you do for him?" "I sold him soap, salt and locally gathered herbs." The receptionist waited. "And that was all? He gave you his trust token because you sold him household goods?" "I charged him the same fair prices I charge my other customers." The receptionist looked unconvinced. Ethan continued. "I also protected my supplier's payment when I gave Gareth a bulk discount." Her eyes sharpened. "You reduced your own margin?" "Yes." "Why?" "The larger order reduced my handling cost. There was no reason to take the discount from the supplier." She examined him silently. Then she stood. "Please wait here. Is something wrong?" "No, but a recommendation carrying Gareth's personal mark must be verified by a senior officer." She walked toward a staircase at the rear of the hall. Ethan waited beside the counter. A few nearby merchants had noticed the token. Their expressions ranged from curiosity to suspicion. One middle-aged merchant leaned toward another. "That boy knows Gareth. He doesn't even have a proper coat." Ethan ignored them. A person's clothing could show wealth. It could not prove integrity. Several minutes later, the receptionist returned. An elderly man walked beside her. He was tall despite his age. Long silver-white hair reached his shoulders, and a carefully maintained white beard covered his chest. Kind blue eyes studied Ethan from beneath thick eyebrows. He wore elegant royal blue robes trimmed with gold. A silver merchant guild badge rested near his collar. The surrounding clerks became more attentive as he entered the hall. Several merchants bowed. The receptionist stopped before Ethan. "This is Edwin, Guildmaster of the Riverside branch." Ethan bowed respectfully. "Guildmaster." Edwin held out one hand. "May I see the token?" Ethan gave it to him. The elderly man examined the wagon symbol and the crossed roads. "It is genuine." He looked at Ethan. "When did you meet Gareth?" "Yesterday." "And he trusted you this quickly?" He said a merchant reveals his character when a profitable customer enters the room. Edwin's eyes showed a hint of amusement. "That sounds like him." He handed the token back. "What is your name?" "Ethan Carter." "Come upstairs, Ethan Carter." The guildmaster turned toward the staircase. The receptionist gathered several forms. "I'll bring the registration documents." Ethan followed them. As he climbed the stairs, he felt someone watching him. He looked across the main hall. Merchants continued speaking with clerks. Porters carried crates through a side entrance. Travelers waited beside the caravan counter. Nothing appeared unusual. Then Ethan noticed a figure near one of the stone pillars. A man wearing a black cloak stood in the shadow of the second-floor balcony. His face was hidden beneath a deep hood. Only two sharp amber eyes were visible. The stranger looked directly at Gareth's token. Then his gaze shifted to Ethan. Merchant's eye activated instinctively. Name, unknown. Occupation, unknown. Trust, unreadable. Immediate commercial need, unknown. System notice. Insufficient information. Ethan's steps slowed. "Is something wrong?" the receptionist asked. He looked toward the pillar again. The black-cloaked man was gone. "Nothing," Ethan said. But he remembered the amber eyes. Edwin led him into a large office overlooking the guild square. Maps covered one wall. Books and trade records filled several shelves. Small wooden markers represented towns and caravan routes across the region. The receptionist placed the registration papers on Edwin's desk. "Thank you, Clara," he said. So her name was Clara. She stood to one side with her pen ready. Edwin sat behind the desk and motioned for Ethan to take the chair opposite him. "This conversation is part of your registration examination," Edwin explained. "Gareth's recommendation allows you to meet me. It does not automatically grant you a license." "I understand. A merchant license provides legal protection and opportunity. It also gives the guild authority to investigate your conduct." "That is reasonable." Many applicants say that before receiving their first fine. Edwin opened a blank record book. "Let us begin with simple questions. Where is your business located?" "Greenhollow Village." "What do you sell?" "Food staples, household necessities, basic tools and locally supplied products." "Current suppliers." "Martha supplies greenleaf herbs. Rowan supplies rabbit pelts." "Do you maintain written transaction records?" Ethan paused. "Basic records. They need improvement." Clara's pen moved across the paper. Edwin noticed Ethan's honesty. "You could have simply said yes. That would not make the records better." "No, it would not." Edwin folded his hands. "How did you obtain your starting inventory?" Ethan had prepared for this question during the journey. He could not reveal the merchant system. "I have access to a private supplier arrangement." "Name?" "I am not permitted to disclose the source." Clara looked up from the document. Edwin's expression remained calm. Guild law allows merchants to protect ordinary supplier identities. However, restricted, dangerous or stolen products must be declared. My goods are not stolen or restricted. Can their quality be verified? Yes. Can you provide samples for inspection? I can. Edwin nodded. That is sufficient for provisional registration. Your goods may be examined later. Ethan relaxed slightly. The guild master continued. Have you been involved in a commercial dispute? Victor attempted to purchase all my stock for double its value. Clara's pen stopped again. Victor, she asked. You know him? Most merchants in this region know him, Edwin answered. What did you do? Clara asked. I refused. Edwin studied him. Why? He intended to remove the goods from Greenhollow and create a shortage. Did he tell you that? No. The offer made no business sense unless controlling the stock was more important than selling it. The guildmaster's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. And afterward, false rumors spread through the village. People were told my goods were fake or dangerous. Can you prove Victor ordered the rumors? No. Clara resumed writing. Edwin leaned back. You understand the difference between suspicion and evidence. I do. That distinction will protect you inside the guild. Ethan remembered Garrett's warning. Friends in places where a village merchant had no influence. Does Victor have connections here? Edwin did not answer immediately. The guild contains many merchants and officials. Some know Victor professionally. It was a careful response. Ethan understood the hidden meaning. Victor had influence, but Edwin would not make an accusation without evidence. Edwin closed the record book. One final question. Ethan waited. Why do you want to become a merchant? Ethan had expected questions about capital, products and suppliers. He had not expected this. To earn money would have been an acceptable answer. Profit was necessary. Without profit, a shop could not restock, pay suppliers or survive. But that was not the complete reason. Ethan remembered the convenience store on Earth. Customers arriving late at night because they had nowhere else to go. A tired nurse buying food after a long shift. An elderly man counting coins for medicine and bread. Then he remembered Lily standing inside the ruined Moonlight General Store with one copper coin in her hand. She had needed bread for her sick grandmother. No merchant had been willing to help her. Ethan looked directly at Edwin. I want honest trade to reach places powerful merchants ignore. Clara's pen became still. Ethan continued. People in poor villages still need bread, soap, medicine, blankets and tools. They should not have to pay unfair prices simply because they live far from a large market. Edwin listened without interrupting. A merchant should earn profit, Ethan said. But a successful deal should benefit both sides. If only one person gains, eventually the other side stops trusting the market. And what do you intend to build? Edwin asked. A shop people can depend on. Only one shop. Ethan looked toward the trade map on the wall. Roads connected Riverside to villages, towns and distant cities. Not forever. A faint smile appeared beneath Edwin's white beard. That is an ambitious answer. I have an ambitious goal. Gareth mentioned that quality. You spoke with him. His token carries a communication seal understood by the guild. It does not tell us everything, but it confirms that he personally approved the bearer. Edwin placed one hand on the registration papers. Honest words are easy. Maintaining them during scarcity, competition and debt is more difficult. I know. No, Edwin said gently. You are beginning to know. Ethan accepted the correction. The guildmaster picked up a silver stamp. However, every merchant must begin somewhere. He pressed the stamp against the bottom of the document. A soft golden light spread through the ink. Clara placed a small bronze plate on the desk. Edwin wrote Ethan's name into the guild register. Ethan Carter, owner of the Moonlight General Store in Greenhollow Village, your provisional application has been approved. The bronze plate glowed. Letters slowly appeared across its surface. Ethan Carter. Moonlight General Store. Bronze Merchant License. The merchant system responded immediately. Merchant Guild registration confirmed. Main opportunity completed. Official trade status acquired. Rewards received. Trade license. Merchant experience, 200. Bulk trading unlocked. Guild contracts unlocked. The blue light surrounding Ethan became brighter. Merchant experience requirement reached. Level increase available. Level 1, Apprentice Merchant. Advancing. Level 2, Junior Merchant. New merchant capabilities activated. Bulk trading. Guild contracts. Improved inventory organization. Basic transaction ledger pending initial review. Ethan felt no sudden increase in physical strength. His body did not change. Instead, the merchant system interface became clearer. The inventory reorganized itself into categories. Food. household goods, local products, trade materials, contract goods. A new section appeared beside the trade network. Guild contracts. No active contracts. Bronze contracts available after license orientation. The system's final message appeared. Level 2, Junior Merchant. A merchant's first sale proves possibility. A merchant's first connection creates opportunity. A merchant's first contract creates responsibility. Ethan closed the notifications. Edwin watched his expression. Are you feeling unwell? No. Many new merchants become emotional when receiving their first license. I was thinking about the responsibility. The guild master nodded approvingly. Clara handed the bronze license to Ethan. It was cool and heavier than Garrett's token. The Merchant Guild emblem covered the front. His name and business appeared on the back. With this license, you may conduct registered local trade, apply for small guild contracts and join approved caravans, Clara explained. Keep it with you whenever you trade outside Greenhollow. Ethan turned the license over in his hand. Several days earlier, he had awakened inside an abandoned building with only 10 copper coins. Now the largest commercial institution in the region officially recognized him as a merchant. It was a small rank. A bronze license. The first step of the guild hierarchy. But every large business began with a first legal record. Thank you, Ethan said. Edwin stood. Clara will explain the bronze license rules, register your trading territory and show you the beginner contract board. Today. If you are not too exhausted from the journey. I'm ready. Edwin gave a quiet laugh. You remind me of someone I knew many years ago. Was he successful? For a time. The answer carried an unexpected sadness. Before Ethan could ask more, someone knocked on the door. A clerk entered and whispered something to Edwin. The guild master's expression became serious. I must handle a dispute at the caravan office. He looked at Ethan. We will speak again. I look forward to it. Edwin left with the clerk. Clara began organizing the remaining documents. Guildmaster Edwin rarely performs bronze registration personally, she said. Garrett's token helped. It opened the door. She looked at Ethan. Your answers kept it open. Ethan placed the bronze license beside the wagon token. 2 pieces of metal. One represented personal trust. The other represented institutional recognition. He would need both. Outside Edwin's office, near the upper floor railing, the black-cloaked observer stood motionless. Sharp amber eyes watched Ethan hold the new license. The stranger had heard enough. He turned and descended a narrow side staircase without making a sound. No clerk stopped him. No merchant noticed him leave through the eastern door. In a quiet alley behind the merchant guild, the man opened a small black ledger. He wrote a single name. Ethan Carter. Beneath it, he added 3 lines. Garrett's trust confirmed. Merchant system candidate has entered the guild. Observe the Moonlight General Store. He closed the book. A black-gloved hand pulled the hood lower over his face. Then the cloaked observer disappeared into the crowded streets of Riverside. Upstairs, unaware that his name had just been recorded by a hidden enemy, Ethan looked through the guild window. Below him, wagons crossed the busy square. Merchants carried contracts. Workers unloaded cargo. Roads spread outward toward villages, cities and distant nations. The Moonlight General Store had begun with one honest sale. Now Ethan held the license that would allow him to enter a much larger market. His tiny shop had taken its first step beyond Greenhollow. And somewhere in Riverside, someone was already watching its rise. Chapter 8, The First Guild Contract. The black-cloaked man disappeared into Riverside's crowd. Ethan watched the entrance for another moment. Someone caught your attention? Edwin asked. I think he was watching my license. Edwin glanced toward the street, but the stranger was already gone. Instinct is not evidence, the guild master said. But it can tell you where to look for evidence. Ethan stored those words away. Then he slipped the bronze license into his shirt. The metal plate carried the Merchant Guild emblem on one side and his registered name on the other. Ethan Carter. Moonlight General Store. For the first time, his small shop officially existed beyond Greenhollow. Clara Fennick placed a thin rulebook on the desk. Bronze license regulations. Ethan opened it. Edwin summarized before he could begin reading. Verified weights. Honest records. Declared dangerous goods. Completed contracts. And if I fail a contract, surrender it formally before the deadline. Disappearing without explanation damages your license. Edwin tapped the rulebook. One more thing. Read everything before signing. That sounds like the most important rule. It usually is. Clara pulled a registration sheet closer. Business name. Moonlight General Store. Location. Greenhollow Village. Main products. Food staples, soap, candles, rope, sewing supplies and household goods. Local suppliers. Martha provides herbs. Rowan provides rabbit pelts. Employees. None. Wagon. No. Warehouse. No. Clara paused. Ethan smiled faintly. The empire is still small. She almost laughed before returning to the form. A moment later, she pressed a bronze seal beneath his information. Your shop and trade territory are officially registered. Blue light appeared before Ethan. Merchant system. Business registration updated. Business. Moonlight General Store. Territory. Greenhollow Riverside Trade Road. Guild license. Bronze. Merchant level. Level 2. Junior merchant. Basic transaction ledger activated. The screen vanished. Edwin pointed toward the eastern wall. Now choose carefully. A huge contract board stood there, divided into sections. Food. Transport. Household supplies. Tools. Caravan work. Merchants moved between the notices, quickly taking the most profitable jobs. Ethan studied the contracts marked for bronze license holders. Deliver candles to a roadside temple. Supply feed to a stable. Transport repair tools to a farming settlement. The payment was modest, but each request solved a real problem. Then one location caught his eye. Greenhollow Village. Ethan removed the notice. Beginner Guild contract. Greenhollow winter household supply. Required goods. 5 standard wool winter blankets. 1 medium iron cooking pot. Deadline. 8 days. Contract payment. 210 copper coins. Guild fee after completion. 4 copper coins. Final payment. 206 copper coins. Failure penalty. 20 copper for unjustified abandonment. Negative mark on guild record. The system reacted immediately. Customer request connection detected. Existing request, 5 blankets before winter. Existing request, 1 iron cooking pot. Completing this contract may resolve both requests. Ethan remembered the requests clearly. Several Greenhollow families needed blankets before the cold arrived. A farmer had also asked him to find an affordable cooking pot. The guild contract connected both problems. Why has nobody accepted this? Ethan asked. Low profit, Clara replied. Established merchants prefer larger contracts. And new merchants. Most cannot afford the goods in advance. Edwin watched Ethan carefully. Do not accept it only because Greenhollow needs it. Ethan looked at him. Good intentions cannot replace working capital, Edwin said. Ethan nodded. Then I need to count my money. He moved to an empty desk and opened his purse. The system organized the coins as he counted. Basic transaction ledger. Riverside purchasing purse, 214 copper. Greenhollow shop reserve, 93 copper. Total business funds, 307 copper. Accessible funds, 214 copper. Protected shop reserve, 93 copper. It was not much. The 93 copper in Greenhollow protected the shop from unexpected expenses. Ethan refused to spend it unless absolutely necessary. That left 214 copper for Riverside. The contract would pay 206 copper after the guild fee. To earn a reasonable profit and keep an emergency reserve, Ethan decided his purchasing cost should remain below 165 copper. Clara glanced at his calculations. You protect your reserve before calculating profit. A shop that spends everything is one bad day away from closing. She nodded with new respect. Ethan reread the contract. The goods were needed. The payment was secured. The deadline was possible. I'll accept it. Clara placed the form before him. Ethan read every line and signed. The guild seal struck the paper. Guild contract accepted. Greenhollow winter household supply. Required. 5 wool blankets. 1 medium iron cooking pot. Time remaining, 8 days. Edwin folded his hands behind his back. Congratulations. You now have your first official obligation. That sounded more serious than congratulations. It should. Clara gave Ethan directions to Weaver's Row and the Eastern Forge Market. Before he left, she added, blanket prices have risen during the last few days. Seasonal increase. Too sudden. Edwin's expression hardened. Find facts before making accusations. I will. Riverside's market streets were crowded with wagons, porters and shouting merchants. Ethan reached Weaver's Row first. The first textile shop offered a standard blanket for 52 copper. Price appraisal appeared. Standard wool blanket. Quality, acceptable. Normal value, 27 to 34 copper. Current price, 52 copper. Market condition, severe temporary pressure. 5 blankets, Ethan asked. The shopkeeper shook his head. I can sell one. When will more arrive? I don't know. The next 3 shops gave similar answers. Their prices ranged from 49 to 55 copper. None could provide 5 blankets. Ethan quickly calculated the result. Even at the lowest price, the blankets alone would cost 245 copper. The cooking pot would push the total near 284. Completing the contract through Riverside's current retail market would create a large loss. At the 4th shop, a woman stood at the counter with a young boy. She placed 31 copper coins before the merchant. That is everything I have. The cheapest blanket is 48, the merchant said. It was 30 last week. That was before the shortage. The boy stared at the folded blankets behind the counter. The woman slowly collected her coins. Ethan wanted to help, but purchasing one overpriced blanket would not solve the shortage. He approached her instead. The Temple of the 7 Lamps has a hearth office 2 streets north. They may lend winter blankets to families temporarily. The woman looked up. Really? It is worth asking. She thanked him and led the boy away. Ethan watched them disappear into the crowd. The contract was no longer only about 5 blankets. If Riverside's supply had truly vanished, many families were already suffering. He continued to the forge market. Iron pots were still available. A suitable one cost 39 copper, higher than normal, but manageable. The blankets remained the real obstacle. Ethan stepped away from the crowded road and opened bulk trading. Bulk trading. Standard wool blanket bundle. Quantity, 5. System price, 125 copper. Delivery destination. Moonlight General Store, Greenhollow. He selected kitchen goods. Medium iron cooking pot. Quantity, 1. System price, 31 copper. Total cost, 156 copper. The system could solve the Greenhollow contract. But the goods would be delivered to his shop, and the wider Riverside shortage would remain. Ethan closed the menu. The system was an advantage, not an excuse to ignore what was happening around him. Someone had disrupted a real market. He needed to learn why. Across the street, a black-cloaked man sat beneath a tea shop awning. Only his amber eyes were visible. He watched Ethan stand silently for several seconds before walking away. Silas Wayne opened a small black notebook. Target accepted winter supply contract. He added another line. Target is investigating instead of purchasing. When Ethan glanced back, the chair beneath the awning was empty. Ethan returned to the guild. Clara was organizing several complaint forms. I checked 4 textile shops, he said. The cheapest complete purchase would cost about 284 copper. The contract pays only 210. 206 after the fee. Clara frowned. Then it cannot be completed profitably through retail sellers. Have any wool shipments failed? None reported. Road closures? No. Warehouse fires? No. Then the stock reached Riverside. Clara lowered her voice. That is what Guild Master Edwin suspects. She gave Ethan a directory of registered warehouses. The largest winter textile distributor was listed near the river. Lantern Row Storage. Ethan reached the warehouse district before sunset. Workers rolled barrels across the stone road while clerks checked cargo boats. Lantern Row Storage stood beside the river, its door still open. Inside, the textile shelves were almost empty. Loose wool clung to the wood. Heavy cargo ropes lay across the floor. A tired clerk sat behind a narrow desk. We are closed for new orders. I only need 5 blankets. Then try the market. The market does not have 5. Ethan placed his bronze license and contract on the desk. This is a registered Greenhollow supply contract. The clerk glanced at the papers. We have no blankets. When will the next shipment arrive? I don't know. Was the last shipment delayed? The clerk looked toward the entrance. I cannot discuss private customers. I'm not asking for a name. Ethan pointed toward the empty shelves. Your public cargo board shows a large textile delivery earlier this week. These shelves were cleared recently. The clerk said nothing. One question, Ethan continued. Did many shops purchase their normal stock, or did one buyer take everything? The man's expression changed. He stood and partially closed the warehouse door. Then he leaned closer. Keep your voice down. Ethan waited. The clerk checked the entrance once more. Someone bought every blanket in town 3 days ago. Chapter 9, The Empty Warehouses. Someone bought every blanket in town 3 days ago. The warehouse clerk kept his voice low. Ethan glanced at the half-closed door. 1 merchant. 1 purchase. How many blankets? The clerk hesitated. More than 400. That was far beyond normal household demand. Were they collected immediately? Most of them. The rest were moved to a private warehouse before sunrise. Who signed the order? I cannot give you a customer's name. Ethan placed his guild contract on the desk. I'm not asking you to break the law. I need information I am legally allowed to see. The clerk studied the bronze license again. His fear was obvious. Merchant's eye appeared. Name, Orrin Whale. Occupation, Warehouse Records Clerk Trust, 34%. Immediate need, avoid responsibility for suspicious transaction. Current concern, losing his position. Ethan softened his voice. I won't claim you did anything wrong. You don't understand. Then help me understand. Orrin looked toward the warehouse office. The buyer had proper documents. The payment was verified. My supervisor approved everything. Was the company already one of your customers? No. When was it registered? 5 days ago. 2 days before the purchase. Ethan's suspicion deepened. What was the company called? Orrin opened a record book but kept one hand over the page. Westmurray Household Trading. The name sounded ordinary. Almost deliberately ordinary. Ethan read the visible portion of the entry. Westmurray Household Trading. Purchase. 412 wool winter blankets, 63 heavy traveling blankets, 28 children's blankets. Additional reservation. Next 2 incoming winter textile shipments. Collection location. Private Warehouse 12. Ethan's eyes stopped on the final line. They reserved the next shipments too. Oren nodded. They paid a large deposit. That explained why every shopkeeper was uncertain about replacement stock. The shortage had not ended with one purchase. Someone intended to keep the market empty. Was Warehouse 12 rented under the same company? I don't know. Private warehouse records are held by the district office. Did anyone from the company inspect the blankets? No. Negotiate the price? No. Ask about quality? No. Ethan closed the record book gently. A genuine merchant buying nearly 500 blankets would inspect the goods, compare grades and negotiate transport. This buyer had cared only about removing stock. Did they purchase anything else? Firewood contracts, lamp oil, some preserved grain, winter necessities. All products people could not easily avoid buying. Ethan stepped back from the desk. This was not normal speculation. Oren's face tightened. You did not hear any of this from me. I saw a public cargo record and asked legal questions. The clerk looked relieved, but only slightly. Before leaving, Ethan asked one final question. Were the goods taken north, south or west? They never left Riverside. That answer was worse than he expected. The blankets were still in town. They were simply being kept away from customers. The Merchant Guild was preparing to close when Ethan returned. Clara looked up from her desk. You found something. One company purchased more than 400 blankets and reserved the next 2 shipments. Her expression changed immediately. Company name. Westmurray Household Trading. Clara searched the registration cabinet. The company file was thin. Too thin. She placed it on the desk. Registered 5 days ago. Household and seasonal goods. Temporary Riverside address. Owners. Represented through a commercial agent. No names. Not in the public copy. Edwin approached from the upper hall. What happened? Ethan summarized the warehouse records. No long accusation. Only quantities, dates and reserved shipments. Edwin listened without interrupting. When Ethan finished, the old guild master opened the company file. Bulk purchasing is legal, Edwin said. Even if it empties the market. Under normal conditions, yes. A merchant may purchase stock for another region, a large institution or future resale. The goods never left Riverside. That makes the transaction suspicious. Not automatically illegal. Clara pointed to the reservation entry. They also secured the next 2 shipments. Edwin's eyes narrowed. That may indicate deliberate market control. Can the guild release the blankets? Ethan asked. Not without evidence of fraud, emergency hoarding or contract violations. Families were already being priced out, yet the guild could not act because the purchase appeared legal. Ethan understood the reason. A guild powerful enough to seize goods without evidence could also destroy innocent businesses. What evidence do you need? Proof that the buyer intends to manipulate prices, falsified registration documents or concealed ownership connected to an existing monopoly. Ethan thought of Victor. Victor had already used rumors to weaken the Moonlight General Store. Buying Riverside's entire blanket stock would require far more money, but Victor possessed regional connections. Still, suspicion was not proof. Can I file a complaint? A market concentration notice, Clara said. It records the shortage and allows the guild to inspect related transactions. Will the buyer see my name? Edwin answered honestly. Possibly. Ethan considered the danger for only a moment. If no one records the problem, there is nothing to investigate. Clara placed the form before him. Ethan wrote down the warehouse quantity, current retail prices and the reservation of future stock. He did not mention Oren. He cited only the visible cargo board and public company records. Edwin signed as receiving officer. Your notice is accepted. A system screen appeared. Commercial risk recorded. Possible market manipulation detected. Current evidence. Sudden large volume purchase, concentrated control of winter stock, future shipments reserved, goods remain inside Riverside, retail prices increased by more than 50%. Evidence level, insufficient for formal accusation. Edwin closed the company file. Now solve your own contract. Ethan nodded. The investigation may take longer than 8 days. Much longer. Then I need another supply source. That is the correct conclusion. Clara took out the Riverside production directory. There are 3 possibilities. She marked the first. Buy at current retail prices. Guaranteed loss. She marked the second. Commission local weavers. Possible, but 5 blankets in 8 days may be difficult. Then the third. Bring goods from outside Riverside. Ethan already had that option through bulk trading. But he could not reveal the system. Can privately sourced goods pass guild inspection? Yes, Edwin said. The guild does not require merchants to reveal every supplier publicly. But you must record the true purchase cost and accept full responsibility for quality. That works. Clara handed him an inspection notice. A guild road inspector will visit Greenhollow in 4 days. The goods can be inspected there. That removed the need to carry 5 heavy blankets back to Riverside. Ethan placed the notice in his bag. I'll complete the contract in Greenhollow. Edwin studied him. You have not purchased anything yet. Not the blankets. Ethan looked toward the darkening street. But I know where to buy the pot. The small forge near the eastern market was still open. An elderly craftsman was cleaning soot from a row of iron goods. Ethan examined 3 medium cooking pots. Price appraisal identified the strongest one. Medium iron cooking pot. Quality, good. Normal market value, 32 to 38 copper seller's price, 39 copper construction, durable defect risk, low. I'll take this one, Ethan said. The craftsman wrapped the pot in thick cloth. 39 copper. Ethan pointed to a shallow scratch near the base. It won't affect cooking, but it lowers the finish. The craftsman grunted. 37. 35, and I'll keep your forge name in my supplier notes. The man examined Ethan's bronze license. You own a shop. In Greenhollow. Small place. With people who need strong cooking tools. The craftsman considered it. 35. Ethan paid him. Transaction recorded. Medium iron cooking pot purchased, 35 copper. Riverside purchasing purse, 179 copper. Greenhollow shop reserve, 93 copper. Total business funds, 272 copper. The pot was now secured. 5 blankets remained. Ethan could purchase them through the system for 125 copper, keeping the complete goods cost at 160. That would produce 46 copper before accounting for travel or other expenses. Not a large profit. But it was honest, safe and within his planned budget. He carried the wrapped pot back toward the Merchant Guild lodging house. Bronze merchants could rent a simple bed for 8 copper per night. Ethan paid the fee. Travel expense recorded. Guild lodging, 8 copper. Riverside purchasing purse, 171 copper. Greenhollow shop reserve, 93 copper. Total business funds, 264 copper. The room contained one narrow bed, a small table and a window facing the river. It was clean enough. Ethan placed the cooking pot beneath the table and opened his ledger. Contract plan. Cooking pot, 35 copper. 5 system blankets, 125 copper. Guild fee, 4 copper. Lodging, 8 copper. Expected contract payment, 210 copper. Direct contract goods cost, 160 copper. Expected profit before travel and general expenses, 46 copper. After counting the lodging expense, the journey would still create 38 copper of total business growth. More importantly, Greenhollow would receive the goods at a fair contract price. Ethan closed the ledger. He had found a legal solution. But it depended on one question. Could the Moonlight General Store safely receive and store 5 large blankets? He opened bulk trading again. Standard wool blanket bundle. Quantity: 5. Purchase price: 125 copper. Delivery location: Moonlight General Store. Warning: secure storage recommended. Current storage condition: basic. Moisture protection, limited pest protection, limited bulk textile safety rating, poor. Confirm purchase. Ethan did not confirm. The shop's main room was dry, but the rear storage area remained old and unreliable. A damaged roof tile or field mouse could ruin the blankets before inspection. Buying the goods without safe storage would be reckless. His eyes moved to the final unused item in his system inventory. Mysterious item voucher ×1. Use voucher. The voucher had remained unopened since Gareth completed the daily quest. Ethan had delayed using it because he did not want to waste an unknown reward. Now he had a clear business need. Use it. The voucher dissolved into silver light. The system screen brightened. Mysterious item voucher used. Reward selected according to current business needs. Reinforced storage crate blueprint. A durable storage crate designed for textiles, food supplies and fragile household goods. Features: raised base against flow moisture, tight wooden joints, simple internal divider system, lock attachment, improved pest resistance, stackable construction. Required materials: seasoned wooden boards, iron corner brackets, nails. Natural sealing wax or oil, basic carpentry labor. Blueprint classification. Local production recommended. Ethan studied the design. The system had not given him a magical storage box. It had given him something better. A design that a local carpenter could build again and again. Once the first crate was made, the Moonlight General Store could safely hold blankets, flour, herbs and future bulk deliveries. The contract had created a new problem. The new problem had revealed the next business improvement. That was how growth seemed to work in this world. One responsibility at a time. Across Riverside, Silas Wayne entered a narrow alley behind Warehouse 12. A hooded courier waited beside a locked gate. Silas handed him a folded report. The new merchant refused the inflated stock, Silas said. The courier placed the report inside his coat. Did he surrender the contract? No. Then how will he complete it? He claims to have another source. The courier's voice became colder. Find it. Silas looked toward the warehouse wall. Behind it, hundreds of blankets remained hidden from the town. The guild has also received a market concentration notice. From him. Yes. The courier was silent for a moment. Then he said, the ledger will want his license number. Silas gave it to him. The courier disappeared through the gate. Silas remained alone in the alley. A new merchant with a tiny village shop should have purchased one overpriced blanket, failed the contract or walked away. Ethan had done none of those things. He had protected his money. Recorded the shortage. Found another supply route. And forced the guild to begin asking questions. Silas's amber eyes narrowed beneath his hood. Ethan Carter was becoming interesting far too quickly. At dawn, Ethan left Riverside on foot. The wrapped iron pot rested inside his travel bag, secured with rope. The road back to Greenhollow felt shorter. He passed the roadside well, the wagon repair shed and the grain farms marked by the trade network. By midday, the old stone wall of Greenhollow appeared ahead. Lily was the first to see him. She ran from the Moonlight General Store's doorway. You came back. Martha followed at a slower pace. The guild did not keep you, then. Only for one night. Lily looked at the wrapped object in his bag. Did you bring something? One cooking pot. Her eyes brightened. For the farmer. If it passes inspection. Martha noticed his expression. And the blankets. Not yet. The excitement in Lily's face faded. Ethan lifted the folded blueprint. But I found a way to get them. Inside the shop, everything remained exactly as he had left it. The shelves were clean. The products were organized. The 93 copper reserve box remained locked beneath the counter. Martha had protected the shop well. No trouble, Ethan asked. 2 customers were disappointed, she said. One wanted soap. The other wanted rope. I'll apologize tomorrow. Martha gave him a knowing look. You cannot stand being closed for one day. A closed shop earns nothing. A merchant who never rests eventually earns nothing too. Ethan could not argue with that. He spread the reinforced storage crate blueprint across the counter. Martha examined the design. This is not ordinary village work. Can the carpenter build it? With clear measurements, probably. Who is the best carpenter in Greenhollow? Jonas Reed. The name was familiar from several customer conversations, though Ethan had not yet traded with him directly. Martha pointed to the iron brackets drawn in the corners. He will need metal fittings. I can purchase them or commission them. Lily leaned over the counter. Is it a treasure chest? A storage crate. That is less exciting. It will hold 5 blankets. She reconsidered. Then it is a winter treasure chest. Ethan smiled. That works. A system notification appeared. New short-term objective. Build 1 reinforced storage crate. Recommended deadline, 2 days. Potential benefits. Safe bulk trading delivery, improved shop storage, new local craftsman relationship, reduced product damage. Ethan rolled up the blueprint. The blankets were hidden in Riverside. The guild investigation had begun. His contract deadline was still moving closer. But now he had a plan. First, build the crate. Second, order the blankets. Third, complete the contract before the shortage could reach Greenhollow. He looked toward the road leading into the village. Somewhere in Riverside, one buyer controlled nearly every winter blanket in the market. If that buyer expected smaller merchants to surrender, they had made their first mistake. Ethan picked up the cooking pot. Let's find the carpenter. Chapter 10, The Carpenter's Price. Jonas Reed's workshop stood near Greenhollow's western wall. The building leaned slightly to one side, but every chair, cartwheel and wooden chest outside it had been repaired with careful hands. Ethan found Jonas measuring a cracked table leg. The carpenter was a broad man in his late 40s, with sawdust in his brown hair and a leather apron covered in tool marks. Martha raised a hand. Jonas. He looked up. Martha. Ethan. His eyes moved toward the rolled paper under Ethan's arm. What broke? Nothing yet, Ethan said. I need something built before that changes. He spread the reinforced storage crate blueprint across the workbench. Jonas studied it in silence. His amusement quickly disappeared. He checked the measurements twice, then traced the raised wooden base with one finger. Where did you get this design? From a private trade source. That answer means I should stop asking. It means I can share the design, but not the source. Jonas examined the tight corner joints and internal dividers. This would keep cloth away from flow moisture. Grain too, if the seams were sealed. Can you build it? Yes. How long? 2 days. Ethan relaxed slightly. Then Jonas tapped the metal fittings drawn around the corners. If you find the iron. What is wrong with the village supply? Victor bought it. All of it. Brackets, nails, hinges and most of the iron straps. Martha frowned. Why would a merchant need that much hardware? Jonas gave Ethan a tired look. He doesn't. The answer was clear. Victor had begun blocking materials before Ethan could expand. How much would the crate normally cost? Ethan asked. Jonas calculated quietly. 9 copper for seasoned boards. 5 for iron fittings. 2 for sealing oil. 10 for my work. 26 copper. If the iron were available. Merchant's eye appeared. Name: Jonas Reed. Occupation: Carpenter Trust, 38%. Immediate commercial need: reliable paid work. Current concern: debt owed to Victor's store. Ethan glanced toward several unfinished stools stacked against the wall. How much do you owe Victor? Jonas's expression hardened. That is my problem. I'm not offering charity. 42 copper, Jonas said after a pause. For lumber and tools purchased last winter. Interest: 2 copper every month until it is repaid. That was nearly 60% yearly interest. Not illegal for an unsecured private loan, but dangerous for a village craftsman with irregular work. Does the agreement prevent you from working for me? No. Then why hesitate? Jonas looked toward the road. Victor's assistant visited yesterday. He said anyone helping the Moonlight General Store should not expect supplies from Victor's warehouses. Martha's voice became cold. That is a threat. It is business, Jonas replied bitterly. No, Ethan said. It is control pretending to be business. Jonas looked at him. Ethan pointed to the blueprint. I need 1 crate now. If it works, I'll need more later. How many? I don't know yet. Then you cannot promise steady work. I won't promise what I cannot guarantee. Ethan took out his ledger. I can offer 13 copper before construction and 13 after completion. You record the actual material cost. If the crate passes inspection, your workshop becomes my preferred supplier for this design. Jonas crossed his arms. And if Victor refuses to sell me iron? We find another source. There isn't one in Greenhollow. Then we use old iron. Jonas looked back at the blueprint. Reclaimed straps could work if they are not rusted. Do you have any? 4 pieces from a broken grain chest. How many do we need? 8. Martha spoke before Ethan could answer. Rowan has an abandoned hunting cart behind his house. Jonas shook his head. Cart straps are thicker. Can they be reshaped? With time. How much time? 1 extra afternoon. Ethan rolled the calculations through his mind. The guild inspector would arrive in approximately 3 days. The contract still had 6 days remaining. It was tight, but possible. Use the old iron, Ethan said. Jonas studied him. You are willing to pay 26 copper for a storage box. For a reusable business asset. It is still a box. It protects products worth more than the box. Jonas looked down at the blueprint again. Then he held out his hand. 13 copper in advance. Ethan shook it. Recorded and witnessed. Martha nodded. I witnessed it. Transaction recorded. Reinforced storage crate deposit, 13 copper. Remaining payment after completion, 13 copper. Current business funds, 251 copper. Jonas picked up the blueprint. I'll speak to Rowan about the cart. I'll come with you. You have a shop to reopen. Ethan paused. Jonas pointed toward the village center. Let the carpenter handle the wood. It was a simple statement, but Ethan understood the lesson. He could not personally control every part of the business. Bring me receipts for anything you purchase. Jonas snorted. You really are a guild merchant now. The Moonlight General Store reopened before noon. Martha removed the temporary closed notice while Lily swept dust from the entrance. 3 customers were already waiting. Ethan apologized and served them quickly. Soap. Rope. Salt. No long explanations. No complaints. The familiar sound of coins touching the counter eased some of the pressure in his chest. The shop was small, but it was alive. Lily stood beside the ledger with a piece of charcoal. Can I write the numbers? Only if you check them twice. She carefully recorded the first sale. 4 copper. And how much did the soap cost the shop? She thought for a moment. Less than 4. That is true, but accounts need exact numbers. Lily frowned at the page as though it had personally offended her. Ethan showed her the purchase entry. 2 copper cost, 4 copper sale. So we earned 2. Before other expenses. Her frown deepened. Business has too many numbers. Numbers stop people from lying to you. That changed her attitude immediately. She wrote the profit beside the sale. Martha watched from the herb shelf. You may have created a dangerous accountant. I hope so. The peaceful moment ended when a dark wagon stopped outside. Victor's assistant stepped down. He wore a clean grey coat and carried no goods. Ethan recognized him from Victor's shop. The man entered and looked around slowly. The Moonlight General Store appears busy. Did you need something? My employer heard you were purchasing construction materials. Your employer hears a great deal. Victor protects stable trade in this region. By buying every nail. The assistant's smile disappeared. Large merchants receive priority. Small shops should avoid projects beyond their capacity. Ethan remained behind the counter. My project is 1 storage crate. Today. The word carried the real warning. Today it was 1 crate. Tomorrow it might be a warehouse. Does Victor own Greenhollow's carpenters? Ethan asked. No. The village iron? No. The right to decide who trades with me. The assistant's jaw tightened. You are new here. Relationships matter. I agree. Ethan's voice stayed calm. That is why threatening Jonas was a mistake. For the first time, the assistant looked uncertain. Jonas owes Victor money. A debt does not make him property. Several customers had stopped pretending not to listen. The assistant noticed them. He lowered his voice. Victor can make business difficult for everyone around you. Then every difficulty will be recorded. Ethan touched the bronze license inside his shirt. Dates, prices, witnesses, agreements. The assistant stared at him. Ethan smiled politely. Was there anything you wanted to purchase? The man turned and left without answering. His wagon rolled away. Martha approached the counter. He will report every word. That was the purpose. You wanted Victor to know. I wanted him to know that pressure creates records. Ethan looked toward the customers. And witnesses. Jonas returned shortly before sunset. He carried 6 iron straps across one shoulder while Rowan followed with 2 more. The hunter dropped them beside the workshop wall. That old cart finally became useful. How much? Ethan asked. Rowan shook his head. Take them. I don't accept free supplies for business. They were rusting behind my house. They still have value. Rowan considered it. 2 copper. Ethan paid him. Local supply purchase. Reclaimed cart iron, 2 copper. Supplier, Rowan. Purpose, reinforced storage crate. Current business funds, 249 copper. Jonas examined the straps. Good iron beneath the rust. Can you finish on time? If nobody interrupts me. Ethan handed him the blueprint. I'll return tomorrow evening. Jonas gave him a flat look. I know where your shop is. Ethan took the hint and left. The next day passed quickly. Jonas cut the boards while Rowan helped straighten the heaviest iron straps. The village smith heated and bent the metal for a small fee included in Jonas's agreed material cost. Ethan stayed at the shop. He recorded sales. Restocked shelves. Checked the cooking pot. Answered customer questions about the winter blankets. They are coming, he told each family. He avoided promising an exact day until the order was secure. By evening, the crate stood in the center of Jonas's workshop. It was larger than an ordinary chest. The raised base kept it above the ground. Iron brackets strengthened each corner. The lid closed tightly, and a simple divider could be removed for larger goods. Jonas poured a cup of water over one corner. The liquid ran down the sealed wood without entering the crate. Ethan checked the joints. Price appraisal activated. Reinforced storage crate. Quality, good. Construction, local handcrafted moisture resistance, improved pest resistance, improved load safety, acceptable expected service life, 7 to 10 years. Market value, 34 to 42 copper. Jonas watched Ethan examine it. Well, it is worth more than I paid. That is usually what customers hope. Ethan handed him the remaining 13 copper. Transaction recorded. Reinforced storage crate final payment, 13 copper. Total crate construction cost, 26 copper. Current business funds, 236 copper. A system notification appeared. Short-term objective completed. Build 1 reinforced storage crate. Benefits unlocked. Safe textile storage, reduced moisture damage, reduced pest damage, local craftsman connection established. Workshop partner candidate added, Jonas Reed. Ethan placed one hand on the lathe. I want you to keep a copy of the measurements. Jonas looked surprised. This is your design. You built it. What are the conditions? You may produce crates for local customers. For orders using my exact reinforced design, record the materials and maintain the same quality. You are giving it away. No, I am creating a local product. Ethan pointed to the finished crate. If more farmers store grain safely, more goods survive winter. If more merchants need crates, you receive work. And what do you receive? A reliable carpenter. Jonas stared at him for several seconds. Then his expression softened. Preferred supplier. If the quality remains this good. He extended his hand. This time, Jonas accepted without hesitation. Moving the crate required Ethan, Jonas and Rowan. They carried it through Greenhollow as villagers watched from their doors. Lily ran ahead and cleared space in the Moonlight General Store's rear room. When the crate was finally lowered into position, she climbed onto a stool to inspect the lathe. The winter treasure chest. Jonas looked at Ethan. Treasure chest. Long story. Ethan checked the floor beneath it. Dry. Stable. Secure. Bulk trading appeared. Registered delivery storage detected. Reinforced storage crate available. Textile safety rating, good. Standard wool blanket bundle quantity, 5 purchase price, 125 copper. Confirm purchase. Ethan looked at his ledger one final time. Current funds, 236 copper. After the purchase, 111 copper would remain. The protected business reserve would survive. The cooking pot was ready. The crate was ready. The guild inspection was still 2 days away. Confirm. Golden light crossed the system screen. Bulk purchase confirmed. Standard wool blanket bundle, 5. Cost, 125 copper. Delivery destination. Moonlight General Store reinforced storage crate. Estimated delivery, before sunrise. Current business funds, 111 copper. The order was complete. Ethan closed the shop early. Martha and Lily returned home while he remained behind to prepare the storage room. He cleaned the crate twice. Checked the lock. Moved the iron pot beside it. By midnight, nothing had happened. Ethan sat behind the counter with his ledger open. The building creaked in the cold wind. Then a faint sound came from the rear room. Not an explosion. Not magic thunder. Only the soft weight of folded cloth settling inside wood. Ethan opened the crate. 5 thick wool blankets rested inside. Each was wrapped in plain brown paper. He examined them one by one. Standard wool winter blanket. Quality, good normal value, 28 to 35 copper condition, new. Supplier record, private system exchange declared purchase value, 25 copper each. 5 blankets. Safe. Affordable. Ready for inspection. For the first time since accepting the contract, Ethan allowed himself to breathe. A knock struck the front door. 3 sharp blows. Ethan closed the crate immediately. Who is it? Merchant Guild Courier. Ethan opened the door carefully. A young rider stood outside holding a sealed document. Urgent notice from Riverside. Ethan broke the blue guild seal. The message was short. Temporary textile verification order. A large quantity of winter blankets has been reported stolen from a private Riverside warehouse. Until the investigation is completed, merchants presenting newly acquired blankets must provide verified proof of origin. Unverified goods may be seized for inspection. Order effective immediately. Ethan read the notice twice. The blankets had appeared less than an hour ago. Someone in Riverside had already created a legal reason to seize them. The courier looked toward the rear of the shop. Guild inspection is the day after tomorrow. Ethan folded the notice. Who reported the theft? Westmurray Household Trading. The same company that had emptied Riverside's warehouses. Ethan closed the door after the courier left. Behind him, 5 perfectly legal blankets waited inside the reinforced crate. But legality was no longer enough. Now he had to prove where they came from, without revealing the merchant system.
Chapter 11, Proof of Origin. The guild inspector placed a red seizure tag on Ethan's storage crate. Without acceptable proof of origin, all 5 blankets remain under guild control. Ethan had 2 days left to complete his first contract. If the blankets were seized, Greenhollow's families would receive nothing, and his bronze license would begin with failure. He kept his voice calm. What would prove they were not stolen? The inspector looked at him sharply. Purchase records, supplier verification or physical evidence separating them from Westmurray's missing stock. Then examine the blankets before sealing the crate. The man paused. Beside him, Clara Fennick opened a leather case containing the official theft report. Inspector Dalen, she said, the merchant has the right to request product comparison. Dalen Pike was a lean man in a dark blue guild coat. A silver measuring chain hung from his belt, and his expression suggested that he trusted numbers more than people. He removed the red tag. Open it. Ethan lifted the crate's lid. 5 blankets rested inside, each wrapped in brown paper. Martha and Jonas watched from beside the counter. Lily remained near the herb shelf, unusually quiet. Dalen removed the first blanket. He checked its weight, length and stitching. New, good household quality. Does it match the stolen goods? Ethan asked. That has not been determined. Clara unfolded Westmurray Household Trading's report. The missing Riverside stock came from 3 registered mills. Every standard blanket should carry a maker stamp near the lower edge. Dalen searched Ethan's blanket. There was no stamp. That could have been removed. Ethan activated price appraisal. Standard wool winter blanket. Quality, good. Material, Highland wool blend edge thread, natural cream weave width, 142 cm. Likely origin, outside Riverside production district. Signs of altered markings, none. Ethan touched the lower edge. The stolen blankets used blue dyed border thread, correct. Clara checked the report. Yes. This one uses natural cream. Dalen examined the seam. No blue dye residue. Ethan opened the other packages. All 5 blankets had the same cream stitching. Measure the width, he said. Dalen's eyes narrowed. You already know the measurement. I checked the goods after delivery. The inspector stretched his measuring chain across the fabric. 142 centimeters. Clara checked the Riverside Mill standards. The reported standard blankets are 136. Dalen inspected the wool more closely. These were not produced by the mills named in Westmurray's report. Lily released the breath she had been holding. Dalen raised one hand. That proves they are probably not part of the reported theft. It does not prove lawful origin. Ethan expected that. He took his transaction ledger from beneath the counter. The entry had been recorded immediately after the bulk trading purchase. Private wholesale purchase. Product, 5 standard wool winter blankets declared purchase value, 25 copper each total cost, 125 copper delivery location, Moonlight General Store purpose, Greenhollow winter household supply contract. Dalen read it. Supplier name. Private exchange source. That is not a legal business name. Bronze merchants are permitted to keep supplier identities confidential. From the public, Dalen replied. Not necessarily from an audit. Clara opened Ethan's license regulations. Confidential source provision, Section 9. A merchant may withhold a supplier's identity when disclosure would harm a legitimate commercial relationship. Dalen continued the rule from memory. The merchant must declare the real purchase value, accept responsibility for the product and provide the source during a criminal investigation. Ethan met his gaze. I have declared the actual cost. I accept responsibility for the goods. And the source. I cannot disclose it. Jonas shifted uncomfortably. Dalen reached for the seizure tag again. Ethan spoke before he touched the crate. I am not refusing an investigation. The inspector stopped. I am requesting the merchant liability declaration. Clara looked surprised. Dalen did not. You understand the risk. If these blankets are proven stolen, I repay their full value, compensate the affected owner and accept suspension of my license. Even if your supplier deceived you. The customers bought from me. Responsibility begins with me. Martha's eyes softened. Dalen studied Ethan for several seconds. A liability declaration protected the guild without forcing a merchant to reveal every supplier immediately. But signing it meant Ethan could not blame anyone else later. Prepare the form, Dalen told Clara. She placed a document on the counter. Ethan read every line. Then he signed. Dalen added his inspection mark beneath Ethan's name. Now we finish the product comparison. 2 days earlier, after receiving the theft notice, Ethan had prepared for this exact moment. He inspected each blanket through price appraisal. He recorded their weight, measurements and quality. Martha counted all 5 in daylight. Jonas examined the crate and confirmed that no Riverside textile markings had been removed inside it. Ethan also kept every piece of wrapping paper. None carried wax, rope or shipping labels connected to lantern row storage. The preparation had taken less than an hour. It now protected his entire contract. Dalen examined the remaining blankets one by one. The measurements matched. The wool matched. The cream stitching matched. No stamp had been removed. Finally, the inspector folded the 5th blanket. These goods are materially different from the reported stolen stock. Clara recorded the finding. Origin status. Confidential private source. Merchant liability accepted. Quality status. Dalen looked toward Ethan. Approved. A blue guild seal pressed onto the contract inspection sheet. Guild inspection passed. 5 wool winter blankets, approved 1 medium iron cooking pot, approved storage conditions, acceptable proof status, confidential source declaration accepted. A system notification appeared. Contract requirements verified. Delivery to registered Greenhollow households may proceed. Ethan allowed himself one small smile. Can I remove the red tag? Dalen picked it up first. You may. Lily hurried to the crate. I knew they weren't stolen. Dalen looked at her. Knowing and proving are different things. She considered this seriously. Proving takes more paper. Clara covered a laugh with one hand. Usually. The goods were delivered that afternoon. The guild contract listed the households that had submitted the original requests. Ethan loaded the blankets onto Rowan's handcart. Jonas carried the cooking pot. The first blanket went to an elderly couple living near Greenhollow's northern wall. Their old blanket had been repaired so many times that little original cloth remained. The old man tried to offer Ethan 3 extra copper. The guild payment already covers it, Ethan said. For bringing it here. Keep the money for lamp oil. The man held the blanket against his chest. Then I'll remember the shop. That is enough. The second blanket went to a widow with 2 young daughters. The third went to a farm worker recovering from a broken leg. The fourth was delivered to a family whose roof had leaked during the last winter. The fifth reached the mother who had placed the original request through a traveling road inspector. She pressed her fingers into the thick wool. This is better than I expected. It should last several winters. What do I owe? Nothing beyond the amount already secured through the guild request. Her shoulders lowered with relief. 1 household remained. The cooking pot belonged to Farmer Bell, whose old pot had split across the base. Jonas placed the new iron pot on the man's table. Bell struck its side with one knuckle. Strong. Try not to test it with a hammer, Jonas said. No promises. The short exchange earned the first laugh of the afternoon. Ethan collected each delivery mark. 5 blankets. 1 pot. Every recipient signed or placed a thumbprint beside their name. His first official guild contract was complete. Dalen inspected the signed delivery record back at the Moonlight General Store. No missing goods, no customer complaints. Clara added the final guild seal. Greenhollow Winter Household Supply contract completed. Golden light filled Ethan's vision. First guild contract completed. Goods delivered. 5 wool winter blankets, 1 medium iron cooking pot. Contract payment, 210 copper. Guild fee, 4 copper. Net payment, 206 copper. Rewards. Merchant EXP. Bronze license reliability increased. Greenhollow customer trust increased. Guild contract record established. Clara counted the payment onto the counter. 2 silver coins. 6 copper coins. Ethan entered the amount into his ledger. During the 2 days before inspection, routine shop sales had added 12 copper in net profit. Business ledger updated. Funds after blanket purchase, 111 copper. Net shop earnings, जोड़ 1-2 copper. Guild contract payment after fee, जोड़ 206 copper. Current business funds, 329 copper. The contract had produced less profit than its original calculation suggested. The storage crate had cost 26 copper, and the riverside lodging had cost another 8. But the crate remained a valuable business asset. Jonas had gained paid work. Rowan had sold reclaimed iron. Greenhollow's families had received winter supplies. Ethan's guild record now showed a completed contract. The deal had benefited more than one person. That made it a success. Clara closed the payment box. Most new merchants choose the easiest contract on the board. This looked easy when I accepted it. It stopped being easy immediately. That seems to happen often. Dalen returned the liability declaration. The document will remain attached to your guild record until Westmera's theft case closes. Will that damage my license? No, today's inspection supports your claim. He looked toward the reinforced storage crate. Your record keeping was better than I expected. From a first-day merchant. From most merchants. That was the closest Dalen seemed capable of coming to praise. He collected his measuring chain and left to inspect the next Greenhollow business. Jonas followed soon afterward. Martha took Lily home before sunset. Clara remained behind. She waited until the shop was empty before locking the front door. Ethan noticed the tension in her expression. What happened? She removed a folded document from inside her guild case. I found this before leaving Riverside. The paper carried Ethan's contract number. It also carried his name. Ethan read the heading. Market concentration notice withdrawal. Reason. Original complaint submitted in error. No evidence of intentional stock manipulation. Merchant requests closure of guild review. Submitted by Ethan Carter, Moonlight General Store. A signature appeared at the bottom. It looked similar to Ethan's. But it was not his. I never withdrew the complaint. I know, Clara said. How was this accepted? It was entered into the guild records yesterday morning. Who entered it? The officer code belongs to the central registrar's desk. Ethan looked at the forged signature again. Someone had not merely purchased Riverside's winter stock. They were now erasing the investigation. Has Edwin seen this? Not yet. I brought you the copy before the original could disappear. A faint system warning appeared. Commercial fraud detected. Type, forged merchant authorization. Target, active market manipulation. Investigation risk, guild evidence may be altered or destroyed. Ethan folded the document carefully. Completing the contract had protected Greenhollow. But it had also proven something far more dangerous. The enemy was not operating only inside Riverside's warehouses. Someone inside the merchant guild had just used Ethan's name.